Hey everyone. So let's see if that works here. Yeah, okay, mic works here too. That's good. Hey everyone. Good, okay. Here? Yeah, okay, mic works here too. That's good. Good, okay. Oh yeah, Discord. I gotta put the Discord link. Good one. Oh yeah, Discord. I gotta put the Discord link. Good one. Thanks, man. The logo animation, yeah. Yeah, I did it in cinema. Hey, Lester. Yeah, now the thing is, I'm streaming now. Thanks. With 2 instances of OBS and to Instagram as well in cinema. Whether this works. Hey, Lester. Yeah, echo should be gone now though, right? Yeah. So how's audio? You hear me well? You can hear the music? Is it too loud? Is it fine? Hey, Una. Yeah, I'm using a different setup today than the other 2 times, so I still have to get used to it a little bit. So moving things around here on the side. What? Alright, so cool, let's see. Hey Luke, hey, yeah, DNC, yeah, very good. So let's see, I need to make a new guy here with okay. Ah, there you go. Yeah, so I have now a soundboard here. Oh no, it doesn't work here. Ah, yeah, damn it. Hold on. No, it should work.
What the fuck?
Oh, sound is echoing on Instagram. That's weird. Why is that? Hold on. I think I know why. Yeah, I think now it should be fine. Yeah, people on Instagram let me hear whether sound is still echoing or not or whatever. Alright, so welcome back, to another episode. And I'm just gonna probably wait for when Luke is around. Then when he's gonna talk, I can move my stuff around here a little bit so that I'm not gonna bore you too much. But you killed all headphone users as well. Yeah, I know. I mean, that's the risk. Yeah, tonight we have Luke Hurd, everyone. Amazing, exciting, and actually I'm not digging the soundtrack too much. Let me just switch to something with this happy. Oh, that's not good either. What's this? Upbeat, let's see. Yeah, I have this thing called Pretzel, which gives you Twitch conform, Let's just do chill. Chill sounds good. Yeah, that sounds good. Hello. We are gonna see masking with displacement. Yeah, I mean, sure, why not? I mean, we can just talk about it if what you guys want to see. So I was thinking doing a little typography thing actually, because I saw this video here. Hold on, I have to think how to best do this setup here. Yeah, so this video here,
79 y estoy
which is about kinetic type. And because we had the MSDF stuff last time from Lasse, I thought we might give it a try and see if we can maybe rebuild something like that in Spark. Why not? But we can obviously also look at masking with displacement. It's actually, I guess, related. So yeah, chat. You can let me hear what you want to see. I did actually prepare something. I can show you. Yeah, that's the thing I prepared, and we can build that. And actually, it looks even nicer if you look at it in the phone. Let's see whether that works now. Hold on, I have this thing going on here. Not working. Hold on. Yeah, the shadow is nice. I wanted to talk a little bit about the shadow. Let me just see if I can, real quick, see if I can get the screen sharing with the iPhone going. Ah, there you go. Cool. So, if we now put the guy, see, there you go. So this is my little typography experiment, and I thought, you know, why not talk about that for a second before we get Luke in. And then, of course, we can also talk about, you know, the displacement stuff. So basically, what's going on here? Hey, Peter. Hello. It's essentially this example here. Let me just see. This is what it is, right? So how would we do that in Spark? Well, I mean, it's obviously pretty straightforward. We just take a typography, and I used Spark here. And no, it is a little tricky in detail though, and it might be interesting to look at that. So what I did, I have a, let's just build it from scratch. So let's see if we can get that going. So first of all, obviously we want to, you know, type the type, I suppose. And I did use Affinity Designer to do that, which is kind of like a, you know, Adobe competitor. I can definitely recommend. I'm not doing that much with it, but they do have now a so let's see if they still have it. But they just recently, for the COVID time, they had a special offer, which is like 50% off. So it's actually, yeah, here they still have it 50% off. So it's actually ridiculously cheap. It's not even what you would pay for, you know, Creative Suite in a month, I suppose. So it's definitely recommended. Anyway, so it does also have SVG export. So what we want to try maybe is, yeah, let's just type a little type. Again, I don't know much how that works, but I think probably should be fine. So what should we type? Let me know. Chat. What should we type? Super cheapo. Dang, that's cheap. But we can do cheap. I like it cheap and quick. Now, okay, so you know, we could export that as a PNG. That's kind of like straightforward, right? But where do we have it? The drawback is that if you don't make it huge, which we don't want, we have like a 1K limit, I think, for textures. Then, well, I mean, it's actually not going to be that big. It's like 20K, but it's confusing, yeah. Is it? Okay, true. Let's move it. But actually, the problem is that, like, if you have any pixelated image, then you will obviously see the pixels eventually. So that's the cool thing about MSDF, where you can get as close as you want to basically a vector without losing quality. And so I thought, well, maybe we can try that. Maybe it doesn't even make sense, but we will see. So okay, let's export it as a PNG first and see how that goes. Hey, Hongwei. Okay, now we are back in Spark and getting the guy in. So they are cheap. So, I mean, first of all, we see that we'd probably want to crop it. So So I don't know how that works in this tool here, document setup. Maybe there's a crop tool also. Yeah, here. No. Well, at least it's not doing what I suppose it should be doing. Let's see, document setup. Oops. Yeah, so no idea how that works, to be honest. So if anyone knows Affinity Designer in the chat, let me know. Well, I'm trying to, basically what I'm trying to get at is the difference. I want to try the difference between how big is a PNG. Well, it's actually tiny. It probably doesn't make a huge difference. PNG is straightforward, and an MSDF. I hit the lock button in the middle. Lock button in the middle. I don't know what that means. Anyway, let's just try to export it as SVG. That should work actually. And see whether we can get it through Lasse's tool. Okay, let's try SVG. Because we do have this MSDF thing, which we can use. Which I did use for the example actually also. Which is this guy here, this shade I have. And then Lasse, like we looked at on the last stream, has this cool tool here where you can basically... Oh, there you go. Nolan always quicker than anyone. Where you can just drag and drop SVGs to make an MSDF, to make a vector file in Spark, basically. And yeah, let's see whether that works. So I mean, I just basically... Let's see if we can drag it here. So that doesn't work. So let's see why it doesn't work. Let's try. Let's look at the file. Let's look at the file. Okay, so this is the SVG file we get from Affinity. Should be fine actually. Oh, just text. So now we have to go to Affinity and on export tell him, let's see, more downsample images. We don't care about that. Export text as curves. That sounds good. Let's try that again. Okay, that's something. It's a P. No, I know, yeah, well the MSDF font thing outputs complete fonts, which for our shader is not working because we're looking at it basically like an image, not like a whole typography. But essentially we had that last stream as well. But okay, so now we have a P, so that's something. So if we download that P now, we can see what it's doing. So I'm just gonna see if we can get that converted thing in here. So this is how it looks like, right? So it's like this weirdly colored thing here. And I'm just gonna have to download basically I have it here, but put the shader in for the MSDF stuff. Let's see if I can find it. MSDF, there you go. And then let's just put an object in so that we see something, make a material. Let's get rid of the guy. So okay, so now we can either look at our cheap text and we see that if we zoom in, it gets jagged eventually, right? And if you obviously, like if you are in an AR environment where you oh, come on, chat widget is fine. It's not doing much. I can put it on top of my stupid face, maybe. Well, I mean, you are seeing the chat anyway. I can also just switch it off, I suppose. So I'm gonna switch off the chat widget, and then if anyone wants it back, then let me know in the chat, ironically. Okay, so even though I have a pretty high resolution PNG here, so this is like, well, 512 by 512 is not too big. Probably can get it bigger, but eventually it's gonna get pixelated. And if, you know, bring back the chat. So what are we gonna do? Like, are we gonna decide on whether we want the chat or not? You can, you can always see the chat in Twitch directly, right? So you don't necessarily need the chat. Hey, how about this? Luke, today it's Luke's day, so Luke can decide today, and you can decide next time because you're up next time, right? How about that? We can do it like that. Every guest can decide how they want the layout to be. That's actually funny. Alright, so I don't care. Where are we? So anyway, so it's pixelated. Fuck that. Pixelated.
What the fuck?
And now let's look at the MSDF stuff. So if we go back to the material and just put the shader in here, just drop the shader in, chip, and then put the P in, which is just the P for now. Then we see that no matter how far we zoom in, it stays sharp. This is pretty cool.
What the fuck?
Oh no, it's the wrong. Wrong sound. Let's see. Where do you have the right one? Let's see. Oh yeah, there you go. Good. Okay. Well, that's great. So now let's see how we get the rest of the letters in. So this is not necessarily, obviously, a Spark problem at all, but essentially, oh no, I think I closed the Affinity Designer file. So we might have to actually. Oh no, there still is. Great. I thought we might have to rework the do all the work again. Yeah, all letters need to be the same. I can produce a track. Sure, why not? I did. Yeah, last I tried it with a different word, with like the Spark, and it did work. So I don't know why now it's not working. Let's see in the export settings again. Export text as curves for font independence. That sounds great. We do want to do that. Area whole document. Yes. Don't export layers hidden by export persona. Whatever the fuck that means. No. Hold on. What else do we have? More. We want more. Okay. Longer text spans. Alright, why not? Flatten transforms. Headline breaks. Downsample images. Rasterize and everything. Nothing. Okay. Okay. Let's try it again. And if that doesn't work, I'm just gonna break it down, and then somebody has to tell me how that works. Okay, so we're back here and seeing whether this new export did in fact work. And it did in fact not work. It's doing the same thing. It's just one P. Alright, so how do I make that into curves? Convert to curves. How about that? And oh, actually, hey, I have an idea. Noland was saying something about SVG crunch or something. I think I did include it here. And let's try whether that does something. So I'm just gonna put my SVG here, so it's crunching, doing something, I don't know what it is. And because, you know, that would be cool if that just worked. So today, as you see, it's a little bit more run and gun. I don't know myself how much of this stuff works or not. But I'm eager to find out as well, so yeah, let's try it. So I crunched it. Oh, very good, cheap. That's fun. Okay, so now here's the thing. The tool that is originally like Lasso based his website on has a few parameters which you can play around with to get better quality, and as far as I know, that's not included in the online version yet, so this is why that is looking that weird right now. So if you look at the shape, this is what you're seeing. It's basically what you get out of the tool. Hold on. What? Okay, yeah. Crunching is not the issue though, Nolan. Crunching is fine. It's really the tool that makes the MSDF from the SVG. So yeah, it's a bit unfortunate that it doesn't work on the stream actually, because when I tried it for this demo project, it worked perfectly. So if you just hold on, open Spark again. It's already running. Come on, chaos reigns. So this actually here, when I did this, it worked perfectly. So basically I just put Spark in. Maybe, I don't know if the thicker font or whatever it is, it just worked really beautifully out of the box. I just put it in Affinity Designer, put the type in, exported it, put it in the converter, and that's it. So I was assuming that it just works out of the box as well, but it doesn't. So anyway, so this is what it is. Let's just continue with this guy. So again, what we're making, guys, is this, right? So what I already tried to point out, not too successfully, unfortunately, but if you have like an MSDF based on an SVG, you're gonna get super crisp text or anything you want, really, vector, compared to if you use a PNG or any other bitmap file format. Eventually, if the user gets super close to what you're doing, you are gonna get pixelation. Okay, so now the other interesting part about this example is actually the material. So as you can see, it is kind of two-sided. If you look at it from the outside, it's always black, and if you look at it from the inside, it's always white. So how would you do something like that? Well, there are kind of two approaches you can do, and one is kind of like the let's just do it together. So we have our guy here, and so this is our cylinder, and let's just start with a new material. So as you can see, this is only one-sided, right? You can only see the front. So the cylinder I'm using only has one polygon. It's not double-sided, so it's just one plane, basically, each of those elements. And if you go to the material, you can put double-sided. Then you're going to see both. So that's pretty cool. So then we can just, either put our bitmap in, or in our case, it's also, we want it flat. Usually we don't want shading, but it doesn't matter. So texture, I can just go to what I have here and the patches to make it easier. I get the MSDF output, which is this, and it's already animated. This is already working pretty well. So that's great. But it has this shading here, right? And so maybe you like that, and then that's perfect. And and maybe you can actually even play around with this light a little bit to make it look kind of like that, but you're gonna have this shading here. So, and what the reference looks like is that it's completely graphic, right? It's just black on the inside and white on the outside. So if we want that, one way to do it, well, I mean, first of all, we want a flat material, right? So that you don't have any shading on it. So we're gonna go to the material and put it to flat. And now, okay, now we have to connect it again. And now it's white on both sides. So how do we get the inside to be black? Well, one thing you could do actually is to switch off the double-sided, and then you have here in color mode, you can tell the material which side to show. So it's either the, well, actually which side to throw away. So it's showing the other side. So it's coloring the back side or the front side, then showing the other thing. So what you can actually do, you know, is just do another material and set that to black, right? And then you can basically select, hold on, still have to put it to flat and connect the textures to the same texture. So it's black here. So you can make, depending on which material you select, you're gonna see a completely flat inside or outside, and then you can just basically duplicate your guy and then just take one material for each of the sides. And then of course you have to also put alpha test on for both of them so that the pixels are gonna cut out. So this is cool. So code for let's see if I hit the right button. Yeah. But like, it's obviously not ideal if you have. Well, I mean, first of all, I think it's the wrong way around. So it was black inside and white outside. Well, now here it's inverse, so it doesn't matter. I think that's fine. But obviously it's not ideal if you want to do anything with the object that you have two objects. So what I ended up doing actually is that I made a shader that does that. And so here I only have one object, cylinder here, this one, and that's using this shader here. What this is doing, this shader, it's actually, it took me a while actually to figure that out. So while it's not a lot of stuff going on, it was, as usual, a little bit tricky to figure that out. But basically what it's doing is, hello, Wanda. So basically it's looking at the normals of each of the plane, and if the normals is facing in our direction, it's making them black, and if it's facing the other direction, it's making them white, or you know, whichever color you want, or really whatever you want to do with it. What you could also do is, so this is also kind of cool little thing. If you just look at, so let's maybe just do something else. So if you have texture here. So now the texture is only displayed. It's displayed. So now, you know, the texture is displayed because the material is double-sided. Let's see which one is it? No, come on. Oh, here, this one. So it's double-sided, right? So that means both sides are showing. And now what you can do with this little shader, which I think is kind of cool, you can do a mix node with one texture. And then you can take a different material. I chose this COVID-19 diagram, I don't know why. And then if you wire that up, you should be able to, let's see, that works. Yeah, so now you have one material on the outside one material on the inside, and I don't really know what you would do with it, except what we just did. I do think also it's a nice trick. So actually one thing I did do with it in another example was that I had, oh shit, the camera. Now I'm just noticing. The audio camera fucked up. Let's see, what is that? Oh, it's the batteries. I don't know. Battery's flat. I have this wonky setup here using mobile phones as cameras. That doesn't always work that great. I'm just gonna switch it off. Okay, so yeah, so I had the other thing. What I was doing is that I had basically a car on a plane tracker, and it had billboards for glows on the light with particles, and then you could, for example, use that shader to only show this when it's facing towards you. So basically what happened is that I had like a white glow on the front lights and a red glow on the rear lights, and you know, if the car turned around, you would always see the red glow in the distance, even though the lights weren't facing you anymore, because the particles were always visible. So with this shader you could say something, well, only if something is facing you, show the shader or whatever. And yeah, I'm gonna just put it on Gumroad, I think, and then, you know, whoever wants it can check it out. Alright, so that's that, and then we can also look at the shadow, because this is kind of like a neat one. So what I did here is I just basically took the so this, now I had to copy that, but basically I just here, there you go. I just took the object, I'm just gonna redo it real quick. Took the same object, duplicated it. Ooh, fuck, no I didn't. Okay. Now I hit a shortcut which just deletes everything now. Duplicated, and then unfortunately, apparently the transforms are not all available in local and in world space. So if I have this move tool here, I can switch from local to global space, and the same with the rotate tool, but in scale I cannot do that. So what you want to do obviously is the shadows on the ground, so you want to just squash it and make it flat. So I just added a null and put one guy in here, and then the null I can just in world space make it flat. Boom, there you go. And you can also make it a little longer if you're looking at, if you're saying, hey, okay, maybe the sun is already setting, then you can make it longer if you put, yeah, like this, and then you just want to move it to the bottom here. And then obviously now you just want to use this as an alpha, so I just basically swizzled it and made a new material for shadow, which is the same thing. And you can't see it here because it's on multiply. It's not showing up in the editor properly, but you can see it here. And then what I did also is I used Josh's cool Gaussian blur, which I found here, and I basically just put Posit Labs. I don't know, what did I, Spark Blur or something? I don't know. I mean, oh yeah, here, Spark Convolution Patch, and then you can just download the different things and just choose the blur one, and then just put it in, and then you get this kind of like, you know, quite nice shadow actually. And one thing, I don't know if everyone knows that, but I just found that out the other day. If you go to the AR library, a patch asset, you also have a convolution patch, but unfortunately that doesn't work in this case because we are already using the MSDF shader here, and the AR library convolution patch is using the texture sampler instead of the composition node. I don't really know why they both exist, but basically the difference is if you use a composition instead of a texture sampler, it will run it will work down the line, and you can put other stuff in front of it and it will still work, and the texture sampler won't do that. Basically, at the end of the day, I just kind of remembered functions better than texture sampler. I always use that, and that works. And I think actually Josh updated his patches when that was available. So that works. So basically, there you go. There you have it. A nice shadow. So yeah. Okay, composition outputs the texture and the texture sampler outputs the color, which can't be sampled again. Yeah, so you want to use composition, right? Like, is there any case why you would want to use texture sampler over composition? I mean, is there any let me just move that there. Yeah, why would you even use texture sampler? I don't know. Okay, well maybe let's see, what time is it? Yeah, I think now it's probably time to bring Luke in, and then if you want, we can also, if you guys stick around and you want to talk about the vertex displacement mask thing. Yeah, maybe it's faster. But maybe also it's just newer, and sampler was there in the beginning, and now composition is there as well. I think also the name is a little weird. Why is it called like that? And why does it take the function as input and not the the vertex attribute node? I don't know. Cool. All right, let's bring Luke in and see what he has to say. This is basically what I had prepared for today, and yeah. Also, it was a bit wonky. Demo today didn't go that well as planned. But yeah, effect is still nice, I think. Cool. All right, let's see if we can call. Oh, actually, hey Luke, I do need to send you a new invite link because I closed the window. All right, so I did send you the invite link in Messenger. Yeah, the SVG combiner, but actually, Lasse, in this case, like I said, like the Spark typography worked perfectly. Oh, there he is already. Hello, Mister. I'm gonna switch off the music, right? Hey, how's it going?
It's going pretty well. How are you doing?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, like I said, a little tired tonight, but it's. I think it was fine. Yeah, so welcome, and guys in the chat, let me know whether you can hear Mr. Luke or Dude Shirt, definitely, yeah. Oh yeah, right, Dude Shirt, yeah, very cool.
Yeah, I made sure to wear this today.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not wearing my Spark sweater tonight.
I know, I thought about it, but
Yeah, that's better. That's really nice. So yeah, welcome. Amazing.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, you were one of the first people to respond to the idea of doing the stream, right?
Yeah, I've wanted to do something on Twitch for, I don't know, probably 2 months, and then once the self-isolation stuff started happening all over the world, I felt like, hey, this would be perfect, but I could never figure out like what kind of content to make.
Yeah.
But I like kind of like your gonzo approach of just like whatever the fuck, we're gonna figure it out. I like it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was it looks like a pro setup. I do agree.
Right.
Yeah. It does look like it's pretty. So the man has a huge microphone.
It's huge.
Are you using what you have, like what I see it's
phallic.
It's XLR, so what audio interface do you use?
I have a Scarlett that I use.
Oh yeah, I do too. The 2i2 with the 2 inputs.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, I have the same thing, but in the other rooms of a USB mic was a little bit easier to set up actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just plug it in and there you go.
This one's all right. It's okay.
Very cool.
It's kind of heavy, but.
Oh, you have like a proper, I don't know, an arm.
A proper arm. Oh yeah, it's very
yeah.
nice. I can get real far back here.
That's pretty cool.
This is exactly what everybody wanted to watch this evening, I'm sure.
I mean, actually, now that I started the streaming thing, obviously I did a little upgrade here with a mic and like with camera stuff and looked into it. And today I'm doing the 2 OBS instances and so on. And there are a whole YouTube channels that have huge amounts of viewers that do nothing but talk about streaming setups.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It is.
I wish I had the money to dump so much into it, but
Yeah,
I feel
totally.
like there's like so much shit to figure out. I figure like how do I dedicate my time to what to figure out? I can't figure everything out. So where do I draw the line?
The
And just
weird
say, "Screw it,
thing
I'm getting it."
that is actually a great question. It's not really, you're not really asking me the question, but I'm gonna answer it anyway. That's a long ass sample. The way I set it up, I can't stop. So like once I hit the button, it's I thought it's so funny because the stuff always comes back, right? So now the knowledge of like setting up that stream, for example, I could reuse so many things I learned in other aspects and use also tools I had for other things and so on. So I think just like fuck it, just go with it, and it's gonna make sense eventually.
Yeah, totally. I think like thankfully I have some sort of a background in like how audio works and how channels and things like that work. So to a degree, I went into it knowing how most of it was, it's pretty plug and play anyway. It's hard to plug something into the wrong thing. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like you slowly build on things. You just continue to slowly build on things. And
Absolutely.
then suddenly you're spinning text in front of.
I was surprised how much of the stuff I did in the past I could reuse for like little setup things here and there. Actually, Lasse asked in the chat whether we met. We did meet in London, right?
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah, so this is like where I met everyone basically in the London Hackathon.
Big shout out to Mark Zuckerberg for footing that bill.
Yeah, I mean, I was really looking forward to maybe seeing all of you guys at F8. But yeah, maybe next year. Well, tell us a little bit about what you do. So this is like the perfect, transition into that story. So you were supposed to be there and doing what?
Yeah, so I had done some hackathon stuff for Facebook at the end of the year. So I work with, I don't work, I guess I do. I put my efforts towards sharing Spark with developers who are participating in Facebook hackathons, which, believe it or not, there was only one until last year, which was the F8 hackathon. So last year they wanted to expand that and try to have, I think, 5 total hackathons last year around the world. But it was all around the DevC side of things. And I got put in contact with someone over there who had put together a program similar to this for Microsoft called the Microsoft MVP program, which is like their like certified pro developer program that you can do. So that doesn't exist with Facebook, but that's something that they were kind of looking into to see like, how do we engage with people out there who want to, 1, make money doing this, and 2, share their skills with the world and show everybody else how easy it is to jump into this stuff. So anyway, I was like, sure, I'm like doing that kind of thing anyway. I feel like I'm doing that with the people I work with, because I work with a lot of traditional artists who have no idea how this shit works at all. So 80 to 90% of my time is explaining how AR works and what AR is and what the experience is like and how people use it. So I was like, hey, this seems like something I do anyway. So I started doing the Facebook stuff last year with the hackathons and doing judging and facilitating. So I would basically sit there for about 15 hours on a Saturday and answer questions to about 20 hackathon teams and help them with their projects, which was very stressful, to be honest with you, because people get real high stress in those environments because they want to win that thing. But It was awesome though. It's really fun. I got to, if you like working with strange problems in a quick environment, having people walk up and be like, I'm trying to make a game where I'm balancing a cookie and pushing it down my face. And and you're like, okay, let me figure out how to wrap my head around how we can make this happen in this program. That stuff's really fun. So I got into that. It was really cool. And I was hopefully going to do that at this year for the F8 hackathon and then hopefully see people there, which would have been awesome. But of course, the stupid world shut down. So here we are. Here instead of there, which was actually today. Today, I think, was when it was going to start.
Oh, it's supposed to be today. Yeah, it could be. But, you know, I mean, here's fine too. I like it here.
Yeah. I'm healthy and happy here. I'm all right.
Exactly. And it's kind of funny. We talked about that, and I'm sure everyone talks about that, but it's kind of like funny how that whole situation kind of facilitates things like that. You know, everyone's kind of like streaming and recording and whatnot.
Suddenly it's like I think what's frustrating too, I work in advertising, so like I'm a little acerbic when it comes to ads and branding and people jumping on bandwagon stuff. So the joke here, especially in the United States, is like every brand in the world is advertising in the United States about how much they care about, you know, the coronavirus and we're here with you and during these troubled times and all that stuff. So I'm so close to it that I'm like, I've hated it for a little bit longer than everybody else. So just because I'm so, I don't know, again, just because you have a little bit of acerbic nature to it. So it's, I don't know. It's cool. I'm glad that everybody's kind of jumping into the digital age and streaming. I'm really happy that that's happening and people are finally learning that it's okay to remote work and you're not going to be a slacker who's not doing anything at home and all that shit. So,
actually, I noticed something I was talking to Nina, my wife, about yesterday, is that when I was at work, I was, you guys know when you're already kind of like past your capacity to concentrate, but you keep just like mindlessly scrolling through things or whatever. And I noticed that this is something that I do, and I try to consciously get away from the screen and like take a walk or whatever, because I noticed that if I do that, then all of a sudden all the inspiration is a big word maybe, but like, you know, I get new ideas and it totally works. But at work, I didn't do that because it felt like I didn't want to, you know, look like, yeah, exactly. So, you know, not working, and it's completely upside down because now I do not have that pressure at all anymore because, you know, obviously no one's going to see it anyway. And I feel that I'm much more productive and, you know, getting much more done in that regard compared to before, because now if I like hit the wall with, I don't know, doing whatever it is, I would just, you know, probably go and eat something, which might not be the best solution. But I know. But yeah, you know, so I think this is actually for stuff like development work, working remotely is much better than working outside.
Well, it's funny you say that because I was talking to my wife about, you know, because she's trying to, like everyone, everybody's sick of watching stuff. No one, you know, you can only binge so much crap on television before you're just, or read so many books. You can only do one thing so much, really. For my mind, anyway. I have a pretty active mind. I have to bounce around a lot. So I figured out, like, as long as I'm creating something, that I'm happy. Like, as long as I'm putting something new into the world that didn't exist there yesterday, then I'm pretty fulfilled with it. So, but it's tough because you get so, I don't know, like for instance, this week I was, I can only do so many filters. I can only work with AR so much. I have to switch gears and just do something else. And it's fun. I love that stuff, but I just, for creative sake, I have to switch gears. So I switched gears this week and started working on this website that I had been working on for a band a long time ago, called the Mars Volta. They were a band in the early 2000s. So I used to work with them on their record label, and I have a website that I've run for them for quite some time. So I was like, I'm going to go work on that. And so, you know, I don't know. If you would have asked me 9 months ago, if I would have thought that website work was exciting, I would have been like, hell no, I don't want to do any, you know, I don't want to do any web work. But now it's like, now I need some kind of creative outlet.
So what do you use to do the web stuff then?
I mean, I don't know. I try to keep everything pretty turnkey. Right now, I'm trying to do like Gatsby, Netlify,
Wow, yeah.
basically flat websites with no database, just so we can get some like, speed performance out of it. But for the so basically all headless stuff, and then for the head, I don't know what to use. There's multiple people who have to edit the site, and they're all pretty computer illiterate. So I thought about just using WordPress and sending things up because WordPress is so easy to label and do all that with. But and then I wouldn't have to worry about the security implications of WordPress and the database slowness of it because it would be nice and flat. So I don't know. That's probably where I'm going right now. But yeah, I mean, what a weird thing. Like I said, 8 months ago, websites, I would have been like, no way. I definitely do not want to. I've been building stuff for the web for 20 plus years. So it's
Right,
like
yeah.
I'm so tired of it.
So that's your background, right? You're a web developer. That's your
Yeah, I started in 1994. That was my first. I started with learning Visual Basic in 1994. Visual Basic, yeah, I think it was Visual Basic, and it was a graphic. I was trying to learn how to code spheres, how to get spheres to appear on a screen. So, and do shading with spheres in a two-dimensional environment, which seems so silly now, but it was impossible back then. It felt so hard.
Well, actually, that you say that, this is kind of relates to what we were saying, that everything comes back, because I looked into ray marching yesterday, and I don't know if you guys know, but like I posted that crazy ass shader on the forum. I just want to show you guys real quick. And this is done in ray marching, which is like a way to draw things in on the GPU. So this is a thing, and all of this, right? I don't know if you've seen it. All of this is done in 115 lines of code, which is
that's insane.
completely insane, right? So, and everything, come on, it's kind of, I can't get this shit to work, right? But like, yeah, there you go. So all of that stuff is actually done, it's procedural, right? So basically, essentially, like this white sphere stuff here is basically works exactly the same way like you drew the sphere in, what did you say, Visual Basic, right?
Yeah, Visual Basic, yeah.
20 years ago. It's the exact same thing. And yeah, so that's crazy. This won't work in Spark, probably not though, because for ray marching you need loops. That's actually a good question for, I don't know, you or any coding person here using script. Can you do, well, I mean, of course you can do loops in script, but can you do loops in shaders via script? You know that?
I don't. Well, I don't know. That's a good question. In which type of a capacity would you?
Well, in this case, like for this ray marching stuff, you need loops. And like if you do shaders on, like in patches, you cannot do loops.
Right. Yeah, I would think that I don't know. I feel like the performance on devices would be just terrible.
I think it's probably fine, because I can just open the same stuff on my phone and Shader Toy, and I think it will just run just fine.
Yeah.
So Heil is saying you do fixed steps, but low P is going to kill it. Maybe, yeah. But I mean, yeah, even fixed steps, like what do you, like manually? Like, because, this stuff has hundreds of steps, like 250 steps. You don't want to like copy and paste the same shit in patches 250 times. That's crazy.
Right. You know, that stuff that Matt Greenlodge, that's how you say his last name, I think. Greenlodge?
I don't know. Is he here? He can chime in and say that we said it wrong.
That guy's patches give me anxiety, man. Those things are ridiculously huge.
I know.
Just the idea of having that much work in a visual programmer. Ugh.
Yeah, it would be great to have loops and patches, though.
Yeah.
But anyway, point being
what
is
about
that
just save states? Why can't we do something with a save state, for God's sakes? Why do I have to port that over to script every time I want to save a variable? It's so frustrating.
that is really frustrating. That's crazy. And we did talk about that on the last stream. Like, I would be really curious why, like, behind the scenes what goes on. Like, is patches just a wrapper around JavaScript? In which case, it would make sense that some things are only available on the patches side, and some things are only available on the JavaScript side. So
right, we were talking about this actually last night, weirdly.
with your wife?
No, I was talking about it with.
Hey,
with
honey,
Nolan.
can you tell me why the wrappers just? I don't know. Maybe
My wife is in advertising too, so we talk about other boring shit besides
Ah.
development, mostly about how bad commercials are. So
how bad clients are.
right, yeah, that's definitely a thing. But you have another thing too. We talked about last night was I've been using Spark AR since AR Studio. I think 32 was when I first started, and since that point all the way to today, you can only swap materials in script. You can't swap materials in the patch editor. You can only,
True. Yeah. True.
You can only do textures. So I don't know. Nolan's had a reason that he thought that was something. I can't remember what it was. It was like
he's probably gonna say something towards that in a second.
Yeah.
Nolan, why is that you can't? What do you think? Why can't you? What was it? You can't change materials in patches, right?
Yeah, you can't swap materials. It's really easy in script. Nothing to it, but.
Well, no one knows. Okay, but what did you want to? You did prepare a little something you wanted to show us, right?
Yeah. So we talked. I'm going to share my screen here.
Yeah.
All right. Just share the whole thing. It sounds like my neighbor is like drilling a hole in the wall or something. Okay. So can you see my screen here? You sure can. All right. So we talked a little bit about, here's I'll loop back. We talked a little bit about the other day how to do haptic feedback.
Yeah.
So I had a really stupid way to do it, which I'll show you how, and you can tell me how stupid it is, but it will work. And it's the only way that I found. It used to be a little easier than this. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this up. So the way that it works is the only haptic that I can find that we can actually trigger with a script using any kind of event is swapping the selected index of a native UI. So you have your selected index down here, and when I swap here, you can see that I'm outputting whatever the index is to the old console here. On my screen tap, I'm just going to do a screen tap here. I'm just going to swap between them. And what that does is if you time it right, you can actually trigger that and go backwards and forwards and actually trigger that haptic on any event. So again, I just have a screen tap that's just throwing a pulse here. And then I have a pulse that's just setting a monitor here. So, or setting a, waiting for the pulse to come through here, and then setting my selected index, and then literally just setting a set timeout function on here for 50 milliseconds.
So you're essentially wiggling back and forth between two native UI bubbles, right? And
that's it.
And would it still work if they would not be visible? Because I'm seeing that you have visible and true.
Yeah. So, and this is garbage. I don't even really need this in here. These don't really matter. So those don't matter at all because the visible attribute for this actually doesn't work. It's already set to true, and there's no way to set it to false.
Oh.
So as long as you have it and you load that configuration, it'll work. So if I go back
you are gonna see the bubbles going diddly, yeah.
And it's weird because it's different between the player and, of course, the player that you have on your phone here, which of course I have my phone here set up. Yeah. The player that you have on your phone, and then Instagram. They all work differently, which is fucking frustrating, but it's just the way that it works. So anyway, like for instance, if I wanted to do on the Spark AR player, both in the environment and the development and the app itself, I can actually use this picker.visible true, and that will actually work. And you'll see here, boom, it's back. And then if I remove it here, it will go away. Boom, goes away. So it does work here, and I can actually toggle this back and forward in code and have this hide and show if I'm using the development environment. On Instagram, that does not work at all. So on Instagram, instead of using pick or true, you just run a configuration with no items in it. So if you just clear out these here, and then you load that up, then at this point you can actually load a picker and you can swap the configurations backwards and forwards to actually hide and show the picker. So I don't know why those inconsistencies are there, but they definitely are.
But this is only going to work on Instagram anyway, right?
That's correct, because it's the only one that gives haptics.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, well, this definitely gets, this is really, really cool. I love the hacky approach. And
it's very hacky.
I love the hacky. I really like that.
So yeah, I just have it set up here. And again, it's just a 50 millisecond. You can see it go back and forward. And then if I push it to the device here, pull this up, you can actually see when I forgot, you have to push twice, of course. So once my recorder here will go away, come on, fade off. There we go. So you'll see it a little bit. You can see it pulse a little bit on there.
Can you hold it to the microphone and?
Well, it won't work on here. I'd have to actually push it to Instagram. But yeah, I mean, I don't even know if you can hear it.
Oh, I see. So it only works.
It's so slight. It's so slight.
All right. So let's try that if you guys don't mind. I would like super love to try that. If you put it to like something really high. I just noticing I haven't even looked into Discord and see if there's anyone's in Discord. But like if you make the frequency really high, so you know what I'm saying is like make the wait really short.
Right.
So it goes back and forth really quickly.
So I've tried to make it shorter, and yeah. It's doing it. So all right. So I just pushed it to Instagram. Let's see if I can. I'm going to put it up against my mic and see if we can.
Yeah.
Right. Can you hear it?
It goes tick a tick tick a tick tick a tick tick a tick.
All right. So you can hear my tap here. It's definitely doing it.
Okay, but can you also make it go?
I mean, you probably could. Yeah, I would assume so. So
let's
I mean,
make it like very like I don't know. Let's make it 1 millisecond or 2.
Here, I'm going to do this. I'm actually going to save this, and I'm going to share this file out, and you guys can sit here and hack around with it.
Oh, but yeah, perfect.
Because honestly, like I think that there's probably I always like going in and messing with whatever I can. Like kind of back to your hacky point.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite things to do, which Nolan's going to kill me for this, but is to just go into, especially if you have a Mac, this is a really easy thing to do. You can just right click and do show package contents, and then just go right into everything. So, I mean, you can go into all the QML files and you can edit all kinds of things.
So what's the QML file?
So they're like layout files. So it's the ML markup language, just kind of like HTML. So it's some things that I've done on this silly thing is I've rounded my radiuses on my border radiuses on here. I set my margins slightly different here. I've have some kind of goals in mind for why I was messing around, and I highly suggest that if you do this, do it at your own risk. You're definitely going to break it. I break Spark all the time, but that's kind of like what's fun about this stuff is if you're not breaking it, then you're not. I don't know. Then you're not testing it right. So you might as well just try to break it.
And then you just reinstall it and it goes back to work.
Exactly. You can just reinstall it. It's all right.
So show us some examples. How would you get the rounded corners?
Let's see. What's the easiest way to do this that I can show you? So I'm going to open up this and let's just go to, sorry, Nolan.
Why is that secret? Is it like a secret? Or
it's not a secret. It's just people start screwing around and they just like, oh, hold on. People screw around and they just maybe screw with things they shouldn't be screwing with. So
Well,
once you're
then
in
you
here,
should probably apologize to someone from Facebook then, right?
I mean, you can already see what I've been messing around with here. So I'm already messing around with the simulator, the width and stuff like that. So I'm sure we can find the radius on. Here we go. Here's the radius right here for the areas for the simulator. Let's change these to.
Make it ridiculously big. Yeah, like 500.
All right, let's do 500. In this file here, this overlaid simulator, that's the one that they use. All right, so let me quit this. Go back here, and we'll just, I'll see, instead of this saying new, it says Luke new.
Okay, good, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go.
Oh shit, I love it. You can't resize it. Oh, you can resize it. Oh, that's pretty cool.
So
That's
you
amazing.
can get into some fun things you can play with.
That's really cool.
As you saw, I have a couple different versions in here that I tinker around with, but usually what I'll do is I'll just take this contents folder, just drag it out to my desktop, and then just kind of scroll my way through it and just see what kind of stuff I want to play around with. So let's do another thing like, let's see, like here you can see like how they use the native UI picker, how they overlay it on there, how it overlays. It's kind of fun if you want to, but I mean, every time you install Spark, it all resets. So
yeah, of course.
Edit at your own risk. Here's the welcome window where you can change stuff. I think I have Luke in here.
Luke new.
So yeah, so you can change with the button saying things. That's a pretty easy thing to do, but you can actually change the order of everything. You can change the way that everything's laid out. The core functionality of how things work is you can't, it's compiled, but there are some layout things that I like to play with a little bit. So I want to try to figure out, one thing was trying to figure out how to get the simulator into its own window so I could get full screen simulator, that kind of thing. So
that's crazy. So today, actually, I read on the forum that someone allegedly stole a texture from a filter. And,
I saw that.
Yeah, and I was curious how you would do that. And then someone said, capture network traffic, and that's just crazy because, it's, first of all, it's all encrypted, and then also it's impossible to find. So I was just thinking, well, just install BlueStacks, which is an Android, it's technically not an emulator, but it's like a wrapper, like an Android wrapper for x86, so for PC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then you can just basically mount the image of your virtual phone and dig through the file system, and then Instagram's probably, saving stuff somewhere. So I was like, all right, let's see if that works. And I did, I'm not going to demo that, no. I didn't figure it out. I haven't figured it out yet. But the cool thing, I can show you guys. Hey, hold on, I'm going to show you. What I did figure out is, whatever, but it's crazy. But anyway, so.
I kind of did something similar too, because I was really curious how. I used Genymotion and some other.
What is Genymotion?
Genymotion is it basically allows you to install various types of Android images in VirtualBox. So it gets you virtual images that you can. So it gives you the ability to look around inside of things.
What is this called? Genymotion.
Geny, GENYMOTION, Genymotion.
Genymotion. All right.
And the personal one,
Android emulator.
Yeah, the personal one is free.
I see. Well, so here I have BlueStacks, and then I don't know how it works, and I haven't been able to mount the file system. But one thing that I did notice, which I thought was interesting, because Lasse said Instagram is probably caching the stuff. Yes, probably it is. And I found one thing in the settings where you can actually where is it? Advanced? No. Hold on. I got it in a second. There. No, where is it? Platform seconds. No. Media folder. Well, it's probably obviously not going to be in the media folder. But see, you can do, it says ASTC texture, and you can do software encoding, and it says enable caching. And cache will take some disk space. So it basically what it's saying, it's caching all the textures for GPU stuff. So you just have to probably just figure out the format. Well, first of all, the location and then the format of that disk cache, and then you probably can get access to all the textures. Because I was curious, well, why only the textures? And then also, the weird thing is that why would people buy that? I mean, it's not that you can just recreate the texture. It wasn't like I think it was Frackers. It's not like crazy hard to make that at all. It's just a bunch of points.
There's some weird there's some weird shit going on with like the beauty community on Spark. Like there's some people reporting. There's like a one account who keeps reporting people all the time, like mass reporting across multiple accounts and shutting other people's filters down. And I've seen other people complain about it anyway. And then there's this thing, and I thought the same thing. I thought the fact that there were just textures there seemed pretty suspect and I don't think it would be network traffic. That seems
crazy. That's
weird.
Crazy.
Super weird that they would send that unencrypted. I don't know. That seems very strange. So, yeah. So I think you're probably right. I think there's probably just. I mean, I used to work in advertising, and I like to do hacky things. So one thing that we built was, if you remember, there's a service called Periscope that was kind of like Facebook, Okay. Facebook Live or whatever. It's still around, but anyway, Periscope had no open API, and you had to tap the screen to send hearts to send the stream emoticons or whatever, or emojis. Sorry, it's not 2002 anymore. So you'd send hearts to the thing as you tapped, but there was no API for the service, and they had all these backwards APIs that you could use that reverse engineered things, but you were still making all these calls because you're essentially, when you had a room with 1,000 people in it and everyone's tapping the screen as fast as they can, I mean, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of calls being written. And I mean, it's so hard to find that, you record that data the way that you should. So especially if you're making calls for it. So we figured out a way to open their WebSocket up and reverse engineer that, because they were already sending it to us on their website. So we were like, well, if we can see it on the website, then we can probably see it in their traffic. So we figured out a way to build this Chrome extension that just monitored their traffic and then pumped it into this Redis database that was an in-memory database, so we could write to it really fast. And it was this really cool thing. But we had hackers in that game, and we had a game that was tap as fast as you can, and we were giving away trips to Europe and gold-plated turntables and gold-plated bicycles and shit. It was crazy. So,
by the way, that reminds me of everyone's favorite game, Lito, right?
Right.
And I did install the hack. I did install the Python. Yeah, I did install the Python hack, and it did not perform great at all, unfortunately. It was like the computer vision was worse than my performance. So basically, it could actually be that people are that good. So
I mean, it could be, but there was one guy who was sending, like, we knew what the rate limits were for the touch screen for a device, for the device that he was supposedly using. And these rates were crazy. Like, we had a couple of users that were like 9 or 10 times as fast as the complete rest of the group. So it was like, wait, what the hell is happening here? So somebody out there had an Android emulator, and they were simulating touches, and they were just able to just,
Yeah. Now that I'm thinking, you know what? I don't know, is that illegal? But like, let's suppose someone I know, right? Someone who isn't me would advertise on Fiverr or something. I want, hey, programmer dude, figure out how to get the textures from Instagram filters, and hint, how about BlueStacks cache directory? Probably, $5, right? Yeah. So then how do I sell that? Where do the Russian people sell it? I saw the screen captures, but I don't speak Russian, unfortunately.
I know. It's
I mean, why would they? I don't know.
It does seem like a lot of effort to. It seems like a lot of effort that you're putting in when you could just learn how it works. It's really not. It's just layered face masks and artistry. That's all it is.
But that's artistry is obviously not something you can easily learn. And that's something
That's true.
also I keep
That's true.
reminding me of, is that this because we've been doing this stuff for a long time, right? So things that for us seem or sound easy, if you're starting out, maybe you have no idea whatsoever how to even approach that. And then also, but like the weird thing also is that not even like this hacking thing, which to me has like a technical, I want to know how that works, so that's fun. But like this other thing where someone put like a fake image in the demo video, and then the actual filter would contain a different image, which is like, oh my god, why would someone even go through all that bullshit for what? I don't know. And I'm thinking probably it will probably convert in money somehow, right? Why would someone even do that?
I mean, I guess, what's funny is, so I work, again, I feel like I've said this like 5 times, but I work in advertising, and so I work with a lot of brands, and it's interesting because I feel like that's not a very good, it just doesn't feel like a very good long-term thing. It seems like so short-term, and I get that you can like hustle and scrap your way and get some money out of it. Like I remember there were people selling beta invites to the Instagram group, and it was just a small group of us. And there was a person out there who was still a member of the community who was selling invites.
And
Russian
people had, so I could have just invited people to the beta group.
Right.
Oh shit! I wish I'd known that.
It was, and they were selling. I mean, they were getting other email accounts, and they were selling it in and stuff. And it wasn't anything. They were basically just like farming accounts, farming approved accounts that they could then resell to people. Because at that point, there were some big Russian accounts that were getting a lot of followers from filters, and it was like, oh, here's this magical thing to get you this fame and fortune or whatever.
Right.
So, it's interesting because it's like, what does that solve? I know that you figured out a hack or a trick, and I love figuring out hacks and tricks, but to turn around and try to profit from it basically ensures that shit is dead immediately, because someone's going to give it away. It's going to spread really quick, and they're going to shut it down. It's just, I don't know. It just seems very strange to me that that's the motivation is money, because money makes it not work anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Well, maybe, yeah. But like, I'm wondering how to get that money even. Like, that's more my point. I do understand the motivation, but I doubt that, like, how would, like, say you have, I don't know, how do you get the money? I don't know.
You mean like, how do you charge for it? How do you funnel it? Like, where do you post about it?
Well, let's say, if someone who is not interested in making this stuff, right, and who is only interested in getting likes for getting the money, right, and then that person might pay a few bucks to get the textures, right, and then put out their own filter. They are not gonna get like 500,000 followers so that they get like a placement or any, like any brand basically who would be looking into influencer marketing. They would not just choose any random fakey hack account, because that would actually drag their brand down. No one would do that. Like, how does the whole premise doesn't seem to work for me. It's like, I don't get it. Like,
it doesn't. There's no end goal. It's just, it's such, I mean, I get that. That's kind of what I was getting at, is like, it's like in the small run, in this short run, as a scam artist, you can scam other people into thinking this is some magical thing that they can buy from you that's going to answer their problems or something. But on the flip side, it's like, no, you're right. No brand is going to, there's a ton of accounts out there that have like 350,000 followers that are just bullshit. They're nothing. Nobody knows who they are. They're complete nonsense accounts. So it's like, that doesn't mean anything. You still have to have worth. You still have to have content out there that makes people care about what the fuck you're saying.
I did look, actually, now that we're like, okay, now we are already like way into weird influencer land, so why not keep going? So I did look, into drop shipping the other day. You know what drop shipping is? Yeah.
Yes.
So basically, for if you guys don't know, basically how it works, you basically funnel shit no one needs from China towards Americans who don't know what AliExpress is.
Right.
That's in a nutshell what drop shipping is.
They
And
like just buy like a bracelet and then
yeah,
resell
exactly.
it. For, like,
And sorry for the diss. It's obviously not only Americans that buy bullshit.
Yeah.
And sex toys.
you
yes,
can talk shit on
Mark,
America. It's
exactly.
totally fine with me.
No, I don't want to. No.
It's
So
okay.
okay. So yeah, it's like Wish.com. Exactly.
Right.
So basically, I was looking into that, and out of curiosity, well, long story. I don't want to bore you guys with that, but basically, the point is that a lot of people actually they call it theme pages or something like that, theme accounts or something like that, which is essentially Instagram accounts or also Facebook pages, groups that post images of a specific theme, and that are not images that you make, right? It's not like you're a photographer and you take photos, but you just curate them basically. So every day you post, I don't know, an image of a forest or an image of a lake or some bullshit or an image of an avocado, I don't know, whatever. And apparently there are a lot of people actually following those accounts and actually looking at them because they like avocados or lakes or forests. Right. And then those accounts will actually advertise the ad for the dropshipping person. And I was just amazed by that. This works. That those accounts actually like those people. They say that that's basically a little bit like like when they play those online games, World of Warcraft or whatever, and then they use I don't know, Chinese kids to level up characters and resell them or something. So it works apparently quite well. So you can get hundreds of thousands of followers in those theme pages in a matter of apparently weeks, is what I figure. So it's crazy. So there need to be people that do consume the content, is what I'm saying, because otherwise the whole thing wouldn't work, right?
It doesn't work. Yeah, it just doesn't work. And it's just so I think too, like what was frustrating is like the one thing I really appreciate about the Instagram environment over the Facebook environment, at least I guess it's not that way anymore, because now the rules apparently are the same between both, and they used to not be, but suddenly they are. So
what do you mean? What do you mean by that rules?
Well, suddenly like you can't have overlays on Facebook, and I don't know. There's like feel like all the Instagram rules suddenly applied to Facebook for some reason. But anyway, the thing I like about Instagram is they try to keep it a little classier in the sense of not having such blatant advertising and allowing that to happen. Because I feel like without that, you saw how much people complained about that shit, that they couldn't do it. And it was like, I really kind of appreciated the fact that they were trying to keep the platform interesting and not just a wash of shitty logos on top of people's heads, and trying to keep it more, so I guess that what that means is you end up working with brands and saying like, look, we're not just going to put your logo on the head. We have to figure out a way to make this more of an experience. And you have to think about this artistically and have a creative strategy behind what you want to do with this experience, as opposed to put the logo on the head, which is what everybody who is kind of has no thought process into it and just wants to make a quick buck. That's what they would do. And like, I'm kind of glad it's a little protected in that way. And of course there's always going to be people who thwart that, break the rules and shit, but I kind of like that. I don't know.
Although I do agree. Although, I mean, first of all, obviously that's true for anywhere. Like there's a lot of shit and then some few good things. And, but it does feel that it's kind of like accelerating like crazy because of the accessibility of things, right?
Yeah.
And so it is a weird kind of environment. I do think that it's probably very short-lived all in all, because, I do think that people are not going to care about any of that stuff. So personally,
it's like anything, man, nothing.
Well, I just thought it's crazy if you look at the, like Mark, for example, right? The stuff he did on Facebook initially, the clown and so on. Yeah. How many views did that, or I don't know, impressions did that get, Mark? Let us know, like 1 billion or something, 10 billion, I don't know. And now if you make a filter on Facebook, you get like 3 views or something, because you're like completely, lost in the wash of new filters, like 100,000 filters a day or something.
Yeah, it's kind of I think what I most enjoy about it is, and I never felt this way before really, up until about the last quarter of 2018, the first quarter of 2019, when smartphones really started coming out with cameras that were capable of doing pretty decent AR. I felt like at that point, that was when I kind of like my light switched on in my head, and I thought, oh, this is going to be something over the next like 15 years. And this is like the very beginning, stupid baby steps, the AOL baby steps of AR. So people are like, it's like when you hear people talking about email back in 1992, and it's like, oh, I got to get that email thing. And, it was like a toy before it was anything. It was a tinker toy, and so was AOL, and that all leads to something. So I think AR, of course, spatial computing and all that's definitely going to lead to everything, the revamp of the entire interface. But I don't know. It's cool because I feel like this is a way to take those little weird droplets of AR and just have them so spread wide across the whole world in such a weird way that no artist has ever had this capability to touch this many people this quickly and have this many people view their work and have this level of interaction. And I don't know, it's like such a cool thing, even though it's Instagram filters. And you're right, it's not going to last. It's a silly thing, but it'll continue into something else, of course. But as far as how we know them, I think it's just the way it is.
I do agree, although no one knows, right? Maybe not. So just talking about TikTok, I haven't done anything on TikTok. I did try the AR thing, like the basically the TikTok Spark.
Terrible.
It's very, very bad. I did. I submitted one filter, and I think it was like half a year or even longer ago, that hasn't even gone live yet. I don't know what that is about.
Oh yeah, somebody just asked about the Horizon beta. I can talk about that.
Yeah, what is Horizon?
So basically, Horizon is Facebook inside of Oculus. So it's communities and groups inside of Oculus, or inside of VR, not Oculus, but just VR. So if you've ever used like AltSpace VR or VR Chat or Rec Room, it's similar to that, where you have groups and worlds that you can create, but it's really, really cool the way that they've done it. It's kind of like the way that they kind of democratized the filter, in the sense of having that platform open and then just really just saying, okay, you guys can just make whatever you want to in AR now. It's that way with VR and VR worlds. So you can add your own scripting. It's kind of node based. You have your own things that pop up, and you have noodles that you connect to things, and you can put your own scripts in there and tell things to spin and how they interact and what physics to use, and build entire worlds. So and everybody can do that. So you can build planes and all kinds of shit. So it's really crazy. It's very much in beta for sure, but I just got invited to it last week and started playing with it. So yeah, it's pretty cool. I didn't get invited to it through anyone in Facebook. It's not from any connections I knew and anything like that. It was just I had a friend who I had met earlier this year, and she ended up being part of the initial group and got 3 invites and gave me one. So it's been pretty cool.
And that runs on Oculus Quest, or do you need a PC?
It runs on Oculus Quest, yeah.
And everything is inside of VR, so all the scripting, everything takes place inside of that world, right?
Everything does, yeah. So it's the patch editor. If you think about it in the sense of Spark AR, the patch editor takes place. If I were to have a ball in front of me, I could click it, and then a dialog box would open up next to me. Essentially, a patch would open up with a noodle connected to that object, and another noodle that I can pull off and to go connect to something else. And that patch has material settings, physics settings, any other script that I want to run, to where if it's like, if you touch it, then I want to have an event fire, like a game start off on over here. You can do teleportation and doors and really anything. They have a lot of cool things in there. The material settings are pretty basic right now. And like I said, it's pretty beta, but it's like the most post alpha beta that I've used. The first 3 times I used it, it crashed. But it's
And
still really
how many people are on there? Like, how many people did you encounter doing that?
I've probably talked to a total of 12 people on there. I think the group, from what I can tell, the beta is just over 100 people right now.
So like
So pretty cool.
like Instagram beta in the beginning.
Yeah, it's pretty.
So
it's pretty
so
tiny.
you might run into Mark Zuckerberg, you know.
Yeah.
You might actually, right? He's probably gonna try it.
I mean, you'd think so.
Shit on everyone that it sucks and crashes.
As long as I get a good close up of him just staring at me. No, he's the cool thing about that is that as I've used it, if you've ever used any other VR chat stuff, they're okay. They work all right. But this one has a really good way of emoting, and it understands, like, for instance, as I put my hand up, it actually knows to like open my hand up, so it knows that I'm like waving at people. It has a lot of like really nice built-in gestures to it, and the arms are connected, which gives a lot of emoting as you're kind of just talking, because people use their hands when they talk. And I don't know. It's definitely like the top tier for VR chats.
Is it using the hand tracking, the Oculus? Oh, okay, because they have like.
I've tried.
And they have this crazy. I've seen this paper where they have this crazy reconstruction of 3D faces from. I don't even know what sensors they are using, but like that looked.
Where it's just it's nuts. They just have like cameras that can just detect your face just as you're wearing the goggles and reconstruct it inside the world.
It's crazy. It looks amazing.
It looks completely amazing. Who knows how it actually works? But I don't know, man. I think that's what's so cool about it is I've been around for a long time. I'm kind of an older person compared to most of the creators. So
how old are you? If you're gonna put it out like that, you have to let us know.
Well, I turned 42 this year, so I'm kind of old.
Same, 77. Yay, best.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, the I don't know, man. I feel like I started doing this kind of development stuff really early on, right when the internet was really, no one was using the internet at that point. I was into BBSs and stuff. My dad was on the first BBS in our town, and he was a database guy back in the late 70s and early 80s. So I grew up with computer parts and shit all over my house, and definitely grew up learning.
Oh, you know what? I'm going to show you something cool.
Do it. All right, this is my show now. So I'm just kidding.
So, little tangent here, right? I went back to my parents' place recently, and I found this, which is an original. Hold on, it's an original XT motherboard. Yeah, with the CPU actually on a socket. Check this out.
Amazing.
And I looked on eBay. It's worth $250.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like vintage. How crazy is that? Well, I'm gonna say yes. I don't know.
I have the oldest computer I still have. So the first computer I learned how to program on was called a Timex Sinclair 1000, which was it was a cassette based, and you would basically type tones with these little blister keyboard. It wasn't really a keyboard; it said like these blister buttons. And you would type it out, and it would play tones on a cassette tape. And the way you would compile it is playing those tones back into the machine, and then you could hook it up to a TV. And so I used to play like trajectory games, kind of like Gorillas and QBasic and stuff like that. But that was where I first really got into the idea of building something. But my dad was into computers, and I did not want to do that, so I became a graffiti artist instead. And then eventually, of course, got sucked back into computers because I just couldn't help it. It's too cool.
Yeah, weird. Yeah, same for me in a way, like always kind of oscillating between things. So I don't know. Do we still want to do techie demo things now? Do you have anything else you want to show, or do people want to ask something? Maybe chat, like if you want to ask Luke things or me, or I don't know what you want to do.
Yeah, I'm down for answering any questions if anybody has any. I mean, I don't know. Most of you probably know me. I think I've met most of the people in here, but yeah, I think my favorite thing about all of this, honestly, is meeting everybody. I think that's like the coolest part. Cool experiments. Yeah. So mostly cool experiments have been I did some work for National Geographic earlier this month during the coronavirus stuff, and that was really stressful because the original plan of having that Earth kind of come out of the magazine was to have it on fire and be like destroyed. And then I built all of that, and it was hard to get all of that looking right. And then they were like, "Fuck, we can't show any of this stuff because it's the world is actually not really on fire, but figuratively on fire. So let's figure out a way to not show that." So that was hard to do. That took a lot of pivoting and a lot of work. I worked like 80 hours in a week to try to figure out a different way to get that thing to make sense in the next. And then they also moved the launch up 2 weeks, so I had 2 less weeks to work on it. So in the end, it is what it is. It turned out, I like it, of course, but there's differences that I would have done if I were completely fully in control of it. But that's how it all works. And in the end, it was a really good experience. But while I was doing that, is where I started hacking with the native UI. Because originally I was trying to figure out ways to have these multiple toggle systems and menu systems because I had seen it before, and I had figured out how to do that at the hackathon in London for one of our projects that we actually never got to show in our demo. And at that point I realized, oh man, I can do this cool like vibration trick with this. How can I make this thing vibrate? So that's kind of where that spurned from, was like a late night frustrating hair pulling moment of like, crap, I've got to figure this out. Or because essentially they weren't going to use it if I couldn't figure out another way to do it. They were going to pay me and everything. They were very nice and it was a great client, but the world just wasn't ready for the Earth on fire at that moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if you see the chat. People are loving it. I can also second that. I love it too. And it's cool that you stuck to it, and then that now it is live. And I'm curious if this is something you did through your company or the company you work with at, or is there something you do kind of like as a solo guy?
So both. I'll do solo if it's to be honest with you, I really don't like building filters for money. That's not why I do it. I like telling people how AOR works, and I like talking about how people use things and really just kind of figuring out. That's half of the fun of having all these followers on Instagram, is I get to run with weird filters and see who uses what. And then if it doesn't work, I can retool it and get some kind of, not necessarily data, but anecdotal information about what works and what doesn't, which honestly is helpful especially when I'm trying to tell a brand what to do with something and what the most effective way to get something shared. So I think the one that we did with this one was originally just through me. And the way that worked was a photographer from National Geographic, strangely enough, had reached out to me on Instagram. And he had worked with Shepard Fairey, who was the guy who created that Hope Obama poster, very familiar.
Yeah, the Obey guy.
Obey, yeah, exactly. So Shepard Fairey wanted to bring something with AR to life, and Nolan knows about this. Because I ended up, he and Nolan ended up connecting, I think. So anyway, he had an idea that was like this rotoscope thing, and it was like, whoa, I don't know if we can do all of this inside of an Instagram filter. It was a pretty ambitious thing. So we passed on that. I did. I was like, I don't know if I can make that work, but maybe there's a way that you guys can figure something out. And he lives pretty close to Nolan, so I was like, hey, Nolan, how about are you interested in talking to him? So anyway, long story short, National Geographic reached out to that photographer and said, hey, who were you talking to? So they contacted me, and they had a model that was 25 gigs that they wanted to make into an Instagram filter. which was that burning Earth model. So it was all done in Cinema 4D, and it was very, very difficult to try to get those 25 gigs down into 2 megabytes and make it look like it wasn't just a pile of crap. So it worked. In the end, it worked pretty well. But I did end up using people within my agency to do some of the creative strategy on there, just because I have a day job too, and I just couldn't do it all myself. It was an ambitious project, and they had a lot of data points that they wanted to use. Ultimately, we ended up stripping a lot of that down at the end. But so honestly, if we had that didn't have that hiccup in the middle, it would have been a little less work. But
yeah, of course.
The way it goes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, actually, the world is also literally, I think, even still burning, right? What about like those fires in Australia? Are they?
I know, right? I mean, it's kind of like it's weird how the you have these crises that happen around the world, and then you have something like this, and it's like, God, what about all that stuff that was happening? I mean, there's still genocide happening in African countries while this other shit is happening there too, or fires in Australia, or the rainforest in Brazil, or the Amazon rainforest is burning.
Oh yeah, it's still burning also.
It's like it gets a little overwhelming, honestly.
It
but
does, very much.
But I think that's what's cool about this community is I feel like I have this cool community of people all over the world that you can. I mean, I know people in China, I know people in Singapore, I know people in Africa, I know people in Germany, Austria, London, all over the place that I can say, how are things there? And they're like, yeah, it's okay.
It's very bad here too.
Right.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Cool, guys. So what do you want to do? Do you want to do some, I don't know, chat? Let us know. And yes, because the 3D modeling guy is cooking again. So last time we did the stream, we rated like this guy here, Andrew Hodgson or something, who's a 3D modeler, and he was cooking, and now I just checked it out. He's cooking again. So.
There will be. I should mention there will be another hackathon for Spark.
Yeah.
So there's more details behind it, but there's going to be another one this year that's going to be.
But like a virtual one, or.
Yeah, the idea is hopefully we can do it. Hopefully we can figure something out. But there's going to be a couple, honestly, I think, is what's going to end up happening. But there's going to be some hackathons through Facebook, and there's probably going to be one through developer circles. That's going to happen as well. What's going to be in person and what's going to be virtual, I don't know. But
so I was thinking actually doing something similar on the streams. Do a little Spark hack thing where we would maybe have a theme or something that gets only unveiled or whatever at the beginning of the stream, and then you have 2 hours to do something, and then we maybe vote on the next stream, or I don't know, like the guest votes or something like that. That would be cool.
I think what that would help with too is like a lot of people don't realize how hackathons are judged. They just are. Human beings are human beings, and the way that you connect with a human being is usually the same no matter who they are. So if you have a killer video presentation or a killer presentation in general with your hackathon at the end, it's always going to be well received. So it's always worth spending time on presentations for hackathons. So yeah, those are always I think it'd be fun, because if we did those, it get people, get in that same idea of, or not idea, but in that same mindset of like how to win these things, because there is kind of a formula to how you can do it. Not win, but put together something that is a respectable project that feels like a real thing that lives in the real world, which is really what they're looking for.
Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, I always kind of the one thing that is kind of throws me up always is that at the end of the day, we are all working, and I am actually right now kind of like working for Mark Zuckerberg for free. Like, what the fuck am I doing with my time? Oh my god, I can't even. I mean, sure, yeah, communities is great and everything, but essentially, Facebook should be paying me for doing that.
You're making friends. That's all it is.
Yeah, I suppose it is. Like if you could argue the same way. Like if you're maybe like a whatever car aficionado, and then obviously whatever Mercedes-Benz not paying you to go to like meetings or something. So, but still going back to
it is interesting though, because I don't disagree, but I do think like it's hard because how do you, if you're an artist, let's say you're an artist, you don't get paid by the people who make your paints or your canvas. You get paid by commissioning your art to someone. So in the same vein, really, it works the same way as you commissioning your AR work to someone else, or it would work very similarly. It works the same way that the art commissions work. But yeah, I know what you mean. There's it's such a weird thing. It's such a weird thing, especially if people can steal work easily. We want to make sure that doesn't happen.
I mean, it tripped me up when you said that they want, and I'm assuming that by they you meant Facebook, want to see things that, I forgot how you said it, but like look like a proper product or something like that.
I just meant the judges, whoever the judges are.
Oh, I see. Okay. Right.
No, not to turn it into a product, because the judges for the hackathons are often me. I'm the judge.
Yeah.
It's not anybody, It's not anybody who's taken an idea and making anything with it.
I see. Okay, so the hackathons you do are not by Facebook, or also?
They are. Yeah, they are. So they are all hosted and facilitated by Facebook. I'm there basically as so there is no, how do I say this in a good way? If they were, when they invite people for Messenger, they have people who work on the Messenger team for Facebook who know Messenger in and out, and there's a lot of people who work on those teams. And Messenger is one of those technologies that is also part of the hackathons. So it's Messenger, React, and Spark AR. If you using those three technologies together, usually is what the hackathons that I've worked at has usually been centered around. So they can supply people for Messenger and they can supply people for React because those technologies have been around for a long time now, and they have big teams of people who support the communities. They're on the developer forums for it. But if you've ever been on the developer forums for Spark, there's no one there. Like the official, like developers.facebook.com, like the official developer forum. So they don't really have anyone other than the people who work on this team. So they basically were like, how can we use an external developer to talk about this stuff and get people motivated by it, and not feel like it's somebody from Facebook up there like, hey, here's some more cool stuff that we use to sell some more stuff. So I think that's fun though, because it gives me the freedom to say whatever I want, really, about whatever I want. So if there's stuff about the software I don't like, I'll straight up talk to people about it, because I don't work for Facebook. I'm there as an external developer, and they're okay with it because that's. No,
I think it's cool, and I mean, I'm spending so much time on that stuff, and so yeah, I'm the same. But at the same time, again, like I do kind of feel that at the end of the day, it's used by Facebook to sell more advertising. Yeah,
it is for sure. It's interesting too because. So there's this really great book called Team Human, which is kind of just about humanity. And part of it talks about the rise of the internet and how you have this kind of like socialist revolution of, you had this very first wave of the internet coming out where it was just kind of like libraries and government. I mean, it was government, of course, DARPA and things like that connecting, but it was still for informational purposes. And then you had these rise of these media giants like Time Warner and AOL who took over the internet, and it fucked up and failed, and they lost a ton of money. Like at one point AOL owned Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
If you think about that, and they owned Looney Tunes and all that. AOL did. So they screwed it up. They all fell apart because there was like this. They didn't know what they were doing. They took something that was more of a socialist thing, and it was for the people, and they made it more of into like a corporationist thing. And there was like the .com bubble burst, and there was a lot of trust lost in the internet. That was like kind of when Jeff Bezos really started buying up things like CD Now and things like that, because those people weren't buying stuff online. There wasn't any trust there. So then you had these rise of these social channels that were like more of like, again, this socialist rise of LiveJournal and Friendster and social media in that sense, not corporate media and not media that's bought, but media that's owned by the people, social media in that sense. And there are these big risers, and they came up, and it was like, this is so refreshing. We're taking it back again. And then very quickly, just like AOL, they come back in with the money, and they start buying up all that.
Well, we did touch upon that on the last stream when I said that I think it's a pity that it's also fragmented, and this original idea is not there anymore. But actually, I read that the first grant Google got was from the military. So even when the guys Sergey Brin and whatever's face, the other guy, were still at Stanford. I suppose they were at Stanford, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
This PageRank thing is apparently their diploma or kind of like a final project, and that got funded by DARPA or someone.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, right?
Right.
So they all just build it to spy on people. Essentially, that's what it is. They just build the internet to spy on people, basically.
It's kind of it's interesting because I feel like you have these. I honestly kind of look at it like fire. It's like you can cook a meal with fire, or you can burn your house down and kill people. What do you do with technology? I mean, you can. It's kind of like they both. It's great because I feel like, why would I want advertisements that don't apply to me? Like, I don't have kids. I don't need to be advertised baby stuff or kid stuff because I don't have any kids. So don't waste your money. I don't care about that. It doesn't, and don't bother me with it. Not that I don't like kids, but you know what I mean? Just to pick something that I don't need to be advertised to.
Yeah.
Same with iguanas. I don't own an iguana, same thing. So like, I don't mind targeted advertising. I don't mind it in that sense of like saving the time or having things shown to me that's like, hey, this actually is something that interests me, to where I don't have to physically go hunt it down myself all the time. I can actually have things that are a little bit more cultivated, that I can have some control over anyway. So I think that's what it is like, you have this, you're giving away all your information to these companies. And I think that's going to be kind of the next revolution of the 3.0, hopefully, is that we can get more decentralized and have these like more decentralized ledger systems. And at that point, we can have a little bit more ownership of our data, as opposed to our data being owned in these different locations by these different companies. It's just, I don't know, it's a little grandiose, but I don't know what the right answer is.
So let's see, what's the chat saying? What is your take on politics getting involved with the internet, like the EU and GDPR and all that? Whose take?
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for the for owning your data.
Yeah, I agree. I am having a problem here with this Spark window kind of like popping up. I don't know. Alrighty. So shall we maybe do a little shader thing real quick before we call it a night? Vertex mask, yeah. People want vertex mask. So, Luke, thanks so much for joining in. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, me too.
And and we're in touch anyway. But if you want to maybe consider or kind of like bringing together, I'm always a big fan of bringing together existing things. So if you saw, maybe I suggested, and Nolan graciously started that to do like a list of resources for Spark. So if you guys for the hackathons want to, I don't know, do something together, I have no idea, but like maybe just
I think it'd be great. I definitely want to do something. I mean, collaborating with any of you would be fantastic, so I'm down for all that.
Cool. All right. So good. So I'm gonna hang up, and you can watch me do vertex displacement stuff. Maybe if I.
All right, big shout out to Eugene here. I didn't see him, but
Yes.
I wore this shirt for him, so I'm a little disappointed he didn't show up. So
Every
big shout out
day.
to
Yeah.
Eugene.
I don't know. I haven't seen him in the chat either. All right.
All right.
Take care.
All
Bye
right,
bye. Cool. All right. So what are we doing? I'm closing BlueStacks, and I'm closing this guy here. No, I don't know. So I have this Spark, and it's kind of like it's probably doing a. It's probably. I have to close it. Hold on. And that's funny actually. That I don't know if you noticed, but it's still called AR Studio in the Task Manager. Good old times. And task. Don't want to. Oh no, it's not closing. Now it is. Okay. Yeah. That was nice to have Luke on. Really cool. Send log. No. Okay. Get lost. New file. Okay. Close this guy. Discard. So I am gonna put some music on again. I feel kind of lonely without Luke. Okay, what are we doing? So we wanna let's get Joni back in. Yeah, hello. So I'm gonna get my Taurus back. I love the donut. And now do the masking with the vertex shader, right? That was the idea. So it's actually really super straightforward. So I'm gonna quickly go over two things actually. Let's see. So one is we're gonna get our pass-through asset back in the scene through very quick to set up the shader. So I'm gonna go material, patch asset, pass through, and I'm not seeing anything. Okay, I have to connect the color. Oh, let's get a texture in. Let's see. Do I have a nice texture? I'm obviously gonna use the favorite texture, which is this guy. And then I also want to get the position plugged in, and I do want to have the local position of the vertices. So I'm gonna go vertex, attribute, local position, and then it does show up here somewhere, but it's weird. Why is that? Well, because it's the what is it called again? Object space, and I do want to have it in my scene, so I have to multiply it by the model view projection matrix, and then it will appear at the right position, which is here. I have an AR donut that calls for something, right? So now what did we want to do? We want to move the vertices. So if I again add some value to all of the points, they are gonna move. Boom, they're gonna closer to me. So let's say I want to move them along the normals. So to make the donut thicker, I'm just gonna go local normal, multiply that by some arbitrary value so that it's not too crazy, and then I'm just gonna add the normal to each of the points. That's complaining because I have to swivel it around. It wants a vector 4, so I can just add the 0 because we don't care about W in this case, and then it's huge because this number is great. So if I make it a little smaller, now I have a thicker donut. Okay, that's great. So now what if we want to mask that out? So basically what we can do, for example, so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna get the null object script in here real quick. So basically the problem is if I want to have a null object script here, an object, so that I can just show you if I move that around, this guy here, my object, I want something to happen. So now the first problem is I have to get the position of this guy into patches, which I can't. It would be so nice to just drag that here and instead of just object I have position, but you can't do that as far as I know. So what you have to do is do a little workaround. There's something on my GitHub, for example, and it's just a script I prepared. Here it's the GitHub, and here, where is it? Null object position. So this just has nothing to do with shaders, obviously, right? It's just to get the stuff working real quick. I'm just gonna get that in. Drop that in here, and then I have to connect it. So I made it so that the name actually is the name of the script, is the name of the standard object. So if I can go from script, vector3, just paste that guy here, boom, drag the script in, and then I have the position here. And that should work. So now, if I want to mask the points, I can just basically, the idea is I can just scale them, right? Like, so now I'm scaling them uniformly overall. So basically I want to scale them and make them only appear at this position here or any other arbitrary position. So what I can do actually is to visualize that a little bit. So I can just take the local position and drag that into color, and it's all black because the values are higher or lower than 0 and 1. And this is something I haven't figured out yet, like so here if I multiply them, you actually see something. And now what I can, for example, do is I can just take the distance between the local position and my guy here, and it's complaining again because of the vector 4 and the vector 3 thing, so I can again just swivel it, and then it should work. And then visualize that. So if I now have my guy, it should actually... Okay, now everything is too high. So let's just multiply it by 1. Doesn't work either. Okay, why doesn't that work? Oh, okay, of course, because I have to swivel it again, because the distance is only one value. Oh, it's not working. So maybe I do have to actually multiply it so that we see something. This music's driving me crazy. Okay, so that is not working. So basically the idea would be that we just take the local position, we take the distance to our guy here, and use that to multiply the deformation. I'm just going to plug it in and see what happens. So that is obviously way too crazy. So I have to make that a little lower. 0.1, probably still way too high. Yeah, 0.01. Let's see if anything happens at all. Nothing happens. Well, actually, what we can actually also do, for example, is to take any attribute really to scale the deformation. So for example, if we have the texture coordinates, right, so we can visualize them and go. So texture coordinates has two channels, right, U and V. So if we put them in the color, yeah, you see that. And then we can just take the, for example, the going back to our original setup here, right, the scaling thing. Take the whatever U channel, so X, the first channel, as a that's way too crazy. See, now it's basically scaling the deformation by UVs. Woo. Unfortunately, again, you cannot use textures to do that, but you can also scale it by the local position, so that should work too. That's not working, unfortunately. Maybe it's just so that it scales up. Oh yeah, it does work. See, so now you have actually This is the x value of the local position, and you see that, so that's too crazy, but you see that now on the right, so basically the local position is at the original 0, and then it's +1, or like, you know, positive towards the right side and negative towards the left side. So you see that it's actually scaling it here positively, because I'm swizzling, right? I'm looking at the x channel of the position. And on the left side it's negative. And if I take the y position, it should be the same thing. I don't know why. But essentially now the distance thing, well, it's not going to tell us anything because it's a shader signal. So I should be able to just plug that in here essentially. And this is way too crazy. And now if I move this guy around. Okay, let's debug it. So first of all, do we even get the position? Yes, we do get the position. Okay, is it in the same coordinate space? It should be, yes. Right, so this 0 doesn't have, oh, something is happening. Oh, now it works. Okay, so apparently, so how was that? Anyone knows that if you take in OpenGL, you have a vector like a matrix, and if it's a 0 at the end, it's a position, and if it's a 1 at the end, it's a direction, or the other way around. I forgot. Actually, guys, I did find a really, really cool book I can recommend to you. Hold on. About, like, if you're interested in this vertex displacement or anything like that stuff. Let me just find it pretty quick. That helped me a lot. I did enjoy it a lot. Hold on, where is it? Yeah, Practical Shader Development by Kyle Halliday. I'm just gonna see. Practical Shader Development. Oh, 1 is position. So, okay, see, that's what we want. Perfect. So, hey, thank you so much. So, now it works, because we do want the position, so we put the swivel to 1, so this is it. So, this book here, I did enjoy it. Recommend it. If you want to learn about, shader development. Yeah, cool. So, that's actually new. I'm gonna post it in the Discord. And yeah, so boom, there you go. So you can basically now control the displacement, and obviously now it's kind of like the opposite of what you would expect, but the further away our guy is, the higher the distance is, so the higher the displacement is. So if you would want to work it inverted, so you would basically just do whatever, subtract from 1 or whatever arbitrarily, and then it should work the other way around. So yeah, see, the closer I get, the bigger it displaces. And then if you want more like a peak, you should be able to do power something, just fuck around with the values a little bit, and then yeah, see that you get a little bit more of a. And now, actually, now we can maybe do something. So basically what I read in this book is that the distance function between two vectors, and if you guys we have the OpenGL wiki here, it's basically just like the length, right? So if we okay, so this I thought was something neat I wanted to share with you. So if we have two vectors, so let's say 2 points, right, and we want to have the distance here, it's basically the length of this vector between those two, right? That's the length. And how do we get the length? Well, it's Pythagoras, right? So this is, if you look at these triangles, A, B, C, and then we know C square is A square plus B square. And then if we want to get C, we just do a square root of those guys, right? But now the thing is that, oops, hold on, sorry. Ah, come on. What am I doing? Why am I doing? No, there you go. So this is the distance between those 2 points, right? And now the thing is that the square root is kind of like a hard calculation to do for our GPU. So we can just as well just take the exponents, and then we have already what we are doing here. So it's basically the same as with the power. So that should theoretically work, right? I don't know if I'm talking bullshit here, but let's maybe try it. So essentially what I'm saying is distance should be the same as taking this guy, subtracting this guy, and then power 2. Does that make sense? Oh my god, I haven't tried that before. So this is like without net, so maybe I'm just talking complete bullshit. So let's see if this works. No, that doesn't work. Why? Oh, hold on. Well, yeah, I don't know. I'm blanking out. I have to figure that out by myself. So this is probably something which is super easy if you're a proper coder, but it's a little bit too hard for me to just wing it without having tried it on a, emotional situation like that on a chat. But basically it should work. Okay, so yeah, that's one way to mask that out, and you could use any other attribute actually to do that. So we did use UVs, which is kind of cool because then you can, mask things along the direction of an object. You can use the distance or any other attribute, really, right? And I did want to show you guys something else, what was also really cool. Yeah, vertex color actually, this is actually a cool idea to use vertex color to mask that, because that would give us the ability to basically use kind of textures to do vertex displacement, right? Can you do that? Let's try. That would be cool. Okay, so that's probably not gonna work naively. So first, this object doesn't have any vertex colors, right? So it doesn't make a difference. So first we need to get an object with vertex colors, which off the top of my head, I don't know how it works. But let's see what happens if, so that's probably all 1, like all the colors are 1, I suppose. So let's see what happens if I just put them. Vertex painting deformation is fun. Well, Mark, like the issue is that, well, but you're exporting that then as blend shapes, right? Because the problem here, what I'm talking about is that you cannot use textures you cannot read textures and pipe them into vertex displacement, unfortunately. And using vertex colors would be a cool way to do that. I don't know anything about Blender though. I don't know how to do vertex colors or anything really in Blender. No, he's saying no. What does that mean, no? How would you do vertex painting deformation with the vertex displacement shader? So are you saying it works? That's cool. That would be actually really cool. Yeah, but okay, so masks, what you could also do obviously is you can do something where you say, hey, I'm just gonna take the Y position of my points and then step it and then just pipe it in. Let's see, where do we want to pipe it in? Here. Yeah, so now I'm basically just affecting the points that are above 0, and then if I add something to it, okay, I can basically move this up and down. Hold on, is that not working? Maybe the values are, yeah, it's just the values are way too big. So again, like, I don't know what that see, now I can basically say, hey, let's just affect any... Yeah. It's just kind of like very, very, you were going to send my flag. What is it? Oh. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what you're talking about. But like, you can paste the link if you want in the chat and I can open it up. So basically, what I'm saying is that you can also use basically just the local position to affect, well, anything above or below a certain threshold. And that way you can actually also do a box where you just cut that out, you know, what you want affected. Yeah, a million ways to do that. So let's try the vertex color thing again. Because that is interesting. Vertex color. Let's see what happens if I just plug that in here. Okay, it complains because why? Oh yeah, same. So what did we say? We want a direction and not a point or whatever, so that should be 0, right? No, it doesn't want it either. Vertex color should be RGB, so 3 works, so that doesn't work somehow. That doesn't work somehow. Yeah. No, that apparently doesn't work. Does it? Oh yeah, it does. But why? Hold on. Why is this? Maybe if I do X, Y, Z. Yeah, that works. Okay, cool. So that works. It should just work out of the box then. No, it doesn't. Oh yeah, of course, because the vertex color, does it have an alpha? Maybe it has an alpha and the local normal only has 3 values. So now we would need to have an object with vertex color, but that would be really cool. So that way you can just draw a vertex color on an object and basically mask out your deformation using that. That's actually a cool way to do it. Let's see what other attributes we have. Local base position. So yeah, I think that's about it. So yeah, that was how you do masking of the vertex deformation. Basically, it's just a multiply, and then you just pipe in any value you want, like depending on the position or normals or UVs or distance to an object. Yeah. So that's that, guys. So if you chat, let me know if you want to look at anything else. Otherwise, I would see if we can maybe raid poor Andrew again. I don't know. Oh yeah, actually. Oh yeah. This is cool. So he plays video games. Let's try to raid him. So, alright, see you on the other side. Playing video games.
Yo! Mate Steinforth, thank you for rating. Right when I get into a Link level that I'm underutilizing, I don't know how to play Link. Yeah, dude, fuck Konami, man. That's... I don't feel like I'm necessary. Oh, I see. Gotta use the bow and arrow. I'm so not used to it. To Link still. I mean, I'm sure most people in here know the story, but Kojima is kind of an egomaniac, and probably difficult to work with. I mean, I don't think anybody could probably, I think everybody could probably see that. But because of Konami couldn't deal with him anymore, they fucking shoved him out the door. He had multiple projects he was working on. And